Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Sideline Sickos Sports Podcast. I'm your humble host, DJ Scott, and today I'll be covering the latest news, going over my power rankings, and my week 3 picks. And I got everybody's favorite topic right now, Tush Push Talk. So get ready for a new, more honest sports talk show that isn't geared towards hot takes, sports betting, or alienating non-ball knowers. If that sounds great to you, Sideline Sickos Sports Podcast has got you covered. We have a lot to get to, so let's do it. We're going to start today with news of the week. Many of this news is injury related and starts mainly with QB injuries. I'm going to start with this tweet by Adam Schefter. Heading into week 3, Commanders QB Jaden Daniels is dealing with a knee sprain. Jets QB Justin Fields is in concussion protocol. 49ers QB Brock Purdy is dealing with a toe injury. And Bengals QB Joe Burrow needs toe surgery. So we are heading into a serious week with a lot of QB injuries, a lot of issues there, and that is kind of concerning. We're going to start with Joe Burrow. So it looks here, as you can see, is that he's expected to miss at least 3 months with a grade 3 turf toe. And 3 months is a generous statement for it because that is that's like best case scenario toe injury. He gets the surgery for his toe, he's back in 3 months. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, he's out for the rest of the season. Which even 3 months from now is October, November, December. That's like already at the end of the season. So wherever they're at is wherever they're at. It might not even be worth bringing him back, even if 3 months is all it is. You might just, if they suck and their record's really bad, you might just want to let him sit anyway, and just not even have to bring him back and try to get this team back to the playoffs. It's bad. And it makes me concerned for the future of Joe Burrow on the Cincinnati Bengals. It's getting very reminiscent of Andrew Luck, where it was just constantly injured, constantly hurt. And it's because the team never put an O-line around him that actually was good enough. I want to show you this history of injuries since he's gotten into the league, right? So we start off with his rookie season, 2020. He hurt himself in the rookie season in November. His first long-term injury of Burrow's career. He tore his ACL, PCL, and MCL and meniscus all in the same place. So his knee was completely shot. He killed his knee. He was out for the whole season, and he didn't come back until the next year. Next year, they go to the Super Bowl, but in the process of doing all of that, he dislocated his finger. He didn't miss any games for that, but he dislocated his finger, and then in the Super Bowl, he had an MCL sprain. It fortunately didn't make him miss any time in 2022, but it was a serious injury that he had to deal with again. Then in 2023, in practice, he had a calf strain. Another injury that didn't sideline him for a long period of time, but it's still another added injury onto his body. Then in November 2023, the same year, he tore a wrist ligament, which put him out for the rest of that season. That was in November. So he missed another season, another injury that put him out for the rest of the season in November. Torn wrist ligament, and he had to get surgery for that as well. And now we are on his latest injury that is probably going to sideline him for the rest of the season, and that's his turf toe injury. Which turf toe, if you don't know, there's different versions of it. Sometimes it's a strain of your tendon that's in your big toe. But for him, when it needs surgery like that, that means it popped. There's tendons in our big toe, and if you bend it too far back, your big toe too far back, those tendons can pop. And his popped, and he's going to need toe surgery. Brock Purdy is having a similar injury right now, but his is just a strain, so he's still day-to-day, week-to-week, right? But this is concerning. There's a long history of Joe Burrow being injured, and I understand, there's this comment of your best ability is availability, right? And yes, we can blame him and go, he can't stay healthy, all these other things. But the Cincinnati Bengals have had 5 years now to put a decent O-line around him, and he hasn't had one. I mean, the year he made it through last year, it was probably the worst year they had defensively in a while, and their offense still was scoring crazy amounts of points. And he was doing all of that while he was second most in QB hits. He was second most in the entire league in QB hits, and he was third most in QB pressures. So he was getting chased down. He was getting pressured a lot, and he was dealing with taking hits, taking punishment on the body. That all of that adds up over time and can lead to something like this, right? He has been dealing with this for forever, and it all stems back to in 2021, where they could have took Penei Sewell, but they took Jamar Chase, right? And granted, Penei Sewell's not going to fix your entire O-line, but Penei Sewell was a bona fide stud, and so is Jamar Chase, right? They're both probably two of the best at their respective positions. And you can't go wrong as far as hitting on a player there. But why do teams, and specifically the Bengals, focus so much more on putting weapons around the guy instead of protecting him? Like, look at the Eagles, for instance, right? They have this O-line that has just been incredible, and it's been incredible for a long time. And through all of that, that's allowed Jalen Hurts, who many could perceive to be like a lesser talent than Joe Burrow, to have great seasons, to go to multiple Super Bowls, to win a Super Bowl. And yes, he has other great players around him as well, but even in the one season where he only had Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor, they had 9 wins. They went to the playoffs. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow is putting up 30-something points a game and still can't get to the playoffs because his O-line sucks and his D-line, his defense sucks as well. So it's just this constant holding back of Joe Burrow and his talent because of how poorly constructed the roster is over in Cincinnati. And it also seems as if Cincinnati doesn't really seem to care because, I mean, as we all know, they're a cash-poor team, and they don't really play their players unless their quarterback makes a fuss about it, right? It just seems like, how much longer do we have to deal with this? I just hope it doesn't lead to Joe Burrow becoming the next Andrew Luck, where he just retires because of all these injuries and just his body can't hold up anymore. And I don't see him as that guy. I don't think he'll get there, but who knows, right? This really sucks for him, and it sucks for Cincinnati Bengals fans. And it's hard to watch when you have this great player. And this is not the only Cincinnati Bengal that's also had to deal with this, which is like Carson Palmer. During his era, he was hurt all the time because of how bad their O-line was during that. And it was him and Chad Johnson. It's very similar to that situation. And it's almost like the Bengals have not learned, or the Bengals don't really want to learn. Maybe they care more about how much money they're making off of the logo, off of the team itself, off of jersey sales, than they care about the actual winning and keeping your players safe. I mean, we also hear that they're the food for their players, the plane rides for players, all of that stuff sucks. They routinely are ranked in the bottom 5 of all of those like polls of the players, making assessments of how good or bad the team's facilities are. It's just, this is a consistent issue with the Bengals, and I hope they get better. I hope they figure it out. I hope Joe Burrow can keep playing, because Joe Burrow is an incredible quarterback. He's a really good quarterback, and I think he could and should win a Super Bowl at some point. He should be in the conversation for best quarterback in the league with Josh Allen, with Patrick Mahomes, with Lamar Jackson. But instead, he has to be hurt every year. And I'm not going to fully say all of that is on the Bengals because, again, sometimes, injuries are just luck. Sometimes injuries are just, certain people just have certain different body types. But it does seem like this is a pattern with the Bengals that goes back further than even Joe Burrow. So I hope he's better. This is just an injury that concerns me. I'm going to move on to the next guy that's dealing with an injury, and that is Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels, he has a knee sprain. I'm going to read this full tweet. Commanders QB Jayden Daniels has a knee injury that has his status for Sunday's game versus the Raiders in question, per league sources. This injury is not believed to be serious, but it remains uncertain whether Daniels will be able to play on Sunday. So Jayden Daniels dealing with that is interesting to me for many different reasons. Um, first, Dan Quinn is very non-committal on whether or not he is actually gonna play or not. That's interesting to me. Actually, listen to the sound bite of Dan Quinn talking about it in the press conference right quick.
He did have an MRI, and he has already begun his return to play process with us. He is truly day to day. What does that mean for Sunday? I can't tell you that now. I'll have more to share on that when we get to Wednesday and practice and what that would look like.
All right, so as you can tell with the way he's talking about it, he's day to day. I don't know if he's gonna play. We don't know yet. He's very non-committal on the way he wants to talk about it, which is how you're gonna talk about your guy, right? That's your guy. You don't want, like with the QBs, it's always like whatever. If he's your guy, whatever needs to be done will be done unless there is something completely out of your hands, right? Like if it's concussion protocol. You can't force your quarterback to be out there if he hasn't passed it yet, right? Like he can't be out there if he wants to be out there if he hasn't passed a concussion protocol yet, because it's per the league, right? You have to pass it through the league, right? So there's a lot of, this is Dan Quinn wanting to keep the possibility of like he could play. It's also a competitive advantage, Pete Carroll's already come out and said that they're preparing for both him and Marcus Mariota, but he's also prepared. They're mainly preparing for Jaden Daniels, right? So that keeps a competitive advantage. That keeps you in position where you can take advantage of that. But it's just concerning to me as a whole here, and this is my own personal take on Jaden Daniels. This is something that I felt about him last year, and I think he's an incredible quarterback. I think he's a very, very, very good quarterback. I think he takes entirely too many hits. Right, I think he's a great quarterback who needs to use his legs. You never want to take away a quarterback's biggest or any player's biggest strength. Right, one of his biggest strengths is his legs. Right, you don't want to take that away from him, but he needs to learn to slide because a lot of times he doesn't slide. A lot of times he doesn't make the right decision to slide. He'll take a hit to the chest, to the legs, wherever, and then he'll go down, or he'll slide poorly, which can result in a fumble. He needs to learn to slide more and stop taking as many hits. It's 2 seasons in a row, right? He's only been in the league 2 seasons. And now last year he played through broken ribs, right? Which he received on a run where he got hit in the side. And this was a free run going inside. It wasn't in the pocket. He got hit inside, broke some ribs, or at least fractured some ribs, and kept playing throughout the season through it. Now, that's awesome that it's badass that he's like pushing through it and playing through it. That's great, but that can lead to a lot of future injuries and problems that he doesn't really need. He's already got a lean body. He's a slight guy. He's not this big brolic dude. He's not built like Josh Allen. He's not built like Jalen Hurts. He's not built like Patrick Mahomes, where he's just got that. Even Lamar Jackson is bigger than him, right? So, and the thing with Lamar Jackson too is he doesn't take many hits. He's so elusive, and his style of running is more finesse, right? Which is very similar to Jaden Daniels' style of running. But for some reason, Jaden Daniels always, his mindset is head down, try and get them last few yards, which I respect. I respect it from a NFL football player standpoint, right? But from a future of your career standpoint, he has to learn. He has to learn to take less hits. He had the ribs last year. This year he's got the knee sprain. And there was 2 plays that could have been, it could have happened on in the Commanders game, but there was the one that happened in the pocket where he got bent back, and then there was another one where he got grabbed and kind of twisted up as he was going to the ground, right? This can't happen anymore. He's got to learn to slide. He needs to take less hits. I really hope it doesn't turn into another RG3 situation, which granted, it's a little too early to start saying all of that, but it is something that's consistent. 2 years in a row, he's got an injury that he's dealing with. Is he going to play through it? We'll see if he plays through it. But if he plays through it, that's, again, 2 years in a row that he's playing through an injury. And everybody's playing through some level of injury. But when it gets to a point where it's being talked about and promoted, and Adam Schefter's tweeting about it, that means it's a little more than it's just some injury, right? It's just a random injury, because there's guys that have stuff all the time that never gets reported, that nobody talks about. So there's clearly something a little deeper to this injury than just, he's dealing with a sprain, it's fine. I mean, I've heard concerns that if he plays, he may tear an ACL, all this stuff. You don't want that. You just don't want that with Jaden Daniels. You want him to stay healthy. You want him to be as good as he can be. He's a great quarterback. Despite me being an Eagles fan and he plays for the team, another team that I hate, I don't care. I love him. I think he's a great player. I just want him to protect his body more. And I think that they need to preach that to him a little bit more. On to the next guy. Next news, more QB injury news, which sucks, is J.J. McCarthy. Now, this one's interesting to me on multiple different levels because, one, we don't know when he suffered it in a game. Apparently, he came in and told them about it afterwards, and he just got it taped up during the game and didn't say anything. But the most interesting thing to me is the differences in how coaches talk about one thing or another, right? J.J. McCarthy's struggling right now, right? So when you hear when Kevin O'Connell goes up there and he talks, it's very different from when like a Dan Quinn is talking about Jaden Daniels, who's their clear number one quarterback. He's their guy. And it's like, let's be non-committal about, what this guy is and whether or not he's going to play, right? Let's be non-committal about it so we can leave that possibility open, right? Whereas Kevin O'Connell is on a whole nother level with this. Listen to this soundbite of him talking about J.J. McCarthy's injury.
And then just one final update. J.J. McCarthy, did come in very, very sore today with the ankle sprain. I would anticipate we are not planning on having him for Sunday, and don't likely see this being any kind of short-term IR thing, but I do want to see, and Tyler and the group want to see how he responds, to treatment this week. But, give him a ton of credit, just the toughness to get that thing taped up and keep playing.
So, yeah, you see that O'Connell is like, Dan Quinn's non-committal. O'Connell was like, yeah, we're not going to see him Sunday. Like it's like an immediate, like, don't even expect it. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's gone. He's out. It's not going to be IR though, which is interesting. It's like, if it's not going to be IR, why are you so certain he's not going to play? And also, how long is he going to be out? It just screams like phantom benching, like soft benching. JJ's been struggling a lot. I mean, he's played poorly through 7 of the 8 quarters that he's played. He looked great in that fourth quarter against the Bears, but this last game against the Falcons, he was not good. He was not very good. And they lost 22-6. They were getting their butts kicked. And you gotta wonder if O'Connell and JJ and not JJ, well, Jay Jettas, Justin Jefferson, are struggling and probably thinking to themselves, like, is this the guy? Justin Jefferson's going to have a lot of say in that because he's their player. He's their star player. He's their guy. So are they questioning him? Do they want him to get benched, but they don't want to bench him outright so that the media is not hounding him and trying to destroy him and talk mess about him? I don't know. It's a little sketchy. It's a little weird, but I hope he heals up well. Congratulations on his baby. I think that's awesome. But yeah, it does feel like a soft benching. Like, it's like they're trying to do what they did with Bryce Young, but they're trying to do it with an excuse this time. But we'll see what this does. Hopefully he comes back and he's rejuvenated and he's killing it. Because I like JJ McCarthy a lot. I've said multiple times on this channel already, I love the pairing of him and Kevin O'Connell. I think it could work. But right now it hasn't looked great. So I could be wrong about that. Many people could be wrong about that. O'Connell could have been wrong about that. But anyway, let's hope he's getting through it. Let's hope he comes back healthy, ready to go. But our next injury that we have to talk about is Brock Purdy. This tweet here from around the NFL. Niners QB Brock Purdy, shoulder and toe, will be limited in Wednesday's practice per head coach Kyle Shanahan. But he has a chance to play Sunday after missing week 2. So he also played, he was limited in practice today as well. I saw that. He has a toe injury, which I heard his toe injury is similar to Joe Burrow's, but it's like turf toe, but it's not the same grade of turf toe. Like grade 3 is the ligament tore. Like it could be like grade 1. They never put a grade on it. So it could be like a sprain of that ligament or something. So it's just, he can just ice it up and kind of, work through it and rehab through it, without going on IR, without having surgery. So we'll see what that is. He's currently limited in practice. Hopefully he plays. I think Brock Purdy's a really good player. But Mac Jones held it down for him in this past week against the Saints. Great team to hold it down against because the Saints suck. They're playing the Cardinals this week, and the Cardinals suck a little less. So they might need him this week as well. So we'll see. But next injury is also Justin Fields also has a concussion. I don't have a graphic for that, but that's crazy that in week 3 we may have Marcus Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, Jake Browning, Mac Jones, and Carson Wentz all starting a game. NFL is king, but stuff like this happens all the time, and it sucks. It sucks when there's this many starting quarterbacks just out, and we got all these guys. Other than Mac Jones, it feels like or Jake Browning, it feels like we're back in 2019, man. Marcus Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, Carson Wentz, crazy. We're gonna get a Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz game this week. Is freaking nuts. What are we doing? I hate that. But it's part of the game. It's part of what happens. Injuries are a part of the game. It's the aggressiveness and the ferocity of the game is what makes it so fun to watch. But it also sucks when great players are losing time and also losing careers off of injuries. But let's hope we can still get good games out of these guys, and it's just fun to watch. On to my next injury that is no longer QB related. Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is out for the season with an Achilles tear. He tore it in the Thursday night game against the Packers. And this brings me to another question I have around the Commanders. And again, I know I'm going to come across as the Eagles hater, but this is me just genuinely has watched a lot of football in his life. I've been watching intently since I was 13. I'm 31 now. There is a lot old teams do not do well, right? They just don't, right? Not if you're the oldest team. You can have older guys on your team, you can have all of that stuff, but when your team is the oldest team in the league, and your starting linebackers, Bobby Wagner, your starting edge rushers or one of your edge rushers is Dedrick Weiss, and you got Marshawn Lattimore as your starting left cornerback. You got Austin Eckler as your starting running back, and you know what I'm saying, and you got Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin as your wide receivers. Which Terry McLaurin's a little younger, but Deebo Samuel is I think he's 29. I forget his age, but I know he's a little older, right? You have these guys who, yes, Deebo's looked pretty good to start the season, but he hasn't looked like game changing. Is this going to be a common occurrence going throughout each week? And also you got Jaden Daniels dealing with something now, which that's not really age problem, but the injuries are going to pile up for the older guys, and then your young guys are going to get injuries as well, right? So it's just, at some point, Washington needs to get younger. They have to invest in a youth movement for this team. I love what they did with drafting Trey Amos. I like the Jerzon Newton pick last year. I like a lot of the Bill Krosky-Merritt I think is going to be a solid player for them. But they got to get younger at wide receiver. They got to get younger in the defense. Specifically, that defense needs to get younger because it is so slow, and it is a bad defense. It was a bad defense last year, and it's still a bad defense. And they went and got I forgot they had Von Miller on that team until I was watching the Giants game last week, the first week, and Von Miller pops up on the screen. I was like, oh my God, they have Von Miller. What the it's like the all decade 2020 2010s team, and it's just so old. They're so old. And I mean, I don't wish injuries on none of these guys, to be fair. Like, I'm not trying to say like they deserve, like, none of that. It's just these guys are really old, man. And it's just, this is going to be a problem over and over and over again until they get younger. Like, I would even say, like, get rid of a lot of these older guys next off season. Suck a little bit. That's okay. Suck a little bit. So you can, so you can invest in picks and all this other stuff. Maybe even trade some of these guys, get some picks back, and invest in a youth movement. Like, focus on youth. Because I understand you're trying to maximize Jaden Daniels' contract, but you're not going to maximize it by signing a bunch of old dudes. Now, I understand if there was like somebody who's like, like Micah Parsons, right? They were never going to trade Micah Parsons, but a player like that is what I mean. Like, if somebody is on the market, and granted, Micah Parsons is a once-in-a-lifetime player to be on that market. Understandable. I don't think there's just players sitting around waiting to be on that market. But Micah Parsons is like a player that's a good player that's young. If they're out there looking to get traded, if teams are trying to trade them, look for that. Like, signing a DK Metcalf would have been interesting to me, right? Like, DK has been around for a while, but he's only like 27, right? Wait, is he 27? I'm going to have to look it up. But you know what I mean? Like, it's something that's just a little bit less, like, players that are less old, that have been in the league for less than 5 years or 6 years. Bobby Wagner can still go. He's great, but man, he's old. Like, Von Miller is not even playing right now because I think he's got an injury. It's just, they got to get younger. Simple point blank period. They just got to get younger. And so next injury that we got to talk about is Cooper Beebe. He is the center for the Dallas Cowboys. He's a very good center. I really liked him coming out of college. He is going to go on IR. He's going to be expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks, which is a large chunk of the season. That's going to suck for them because their line is really good. That's one of their strengths. And it kind of sucks that they're going to lose Cooper Beebe to that. He has a high ankle sprain. And I just hope that their O-line can stand up and still help them. And I know, well, Dak Prescott, it's not like Dak Prescott is struggling against pressure. He has some of the best numbers against pressure, against blitzes. So he's still going to be fine. He's still going to be Dak Prescott. But I do think this may hurt them up the middle. Like if they play another team with, defensive linemen that is really good, that's going to be a problem. But anyway, that's the end of the injury portion. Oh, wait, what is that? Do you guys hear that? Do you guys hear that? What is that? Is that whining I hear?
They win the same place every does.
What? So we're once again talking about the Tush Push, aren't we? We're once again talking about the Tush Push. Because Chris Jones, what is that you said again?
They win the same place every does.
Okay. So we are once again whining about the Tush Push. And I want to lay this out here right off the top. This is the one and only time I want to talk about the Tush Push on this channel. Until they ban it or it doesn't get banned or something. I'll make a video or talk about that on the podcast. But I am not talking about this week in and week out. I hate this topic. I hate talking about it. But it has to be at least addressed one time because I haven't made anything on here talking about it yet. It wasn't banned in March, and yet people are still hating on it, right? And if you don't believe me that people are hating and that it's weird that people are hating this much, here's an NFL official complaining about the play in the middle of the game.
I am done with the Tush Push, guys. It's a hard play to officiate like we've been talking about. So they either ruled progress or that Hurts was down. Really hard to see what's happening with the football. We're inside 2, so replay has looked at this, and they've determined that there was no fumble.
Yeah, it never came loose. Tranquil did get his arms around that.
So, yes, that was Dean Blandino, a paid NFL official. He's the official that talks, the rules analyst, right? He's the official that talks during the game. And he's saying that in the middle of the game. And that's a paid NFL official. They get paid by the NFL. Pushing a new narrative being shopped around to justify legislating a team's ability to win. That's essentially what it is. It's hard to officiate now. That's the new thing. It's hard to officiate. And if you need more proof that it's a narrative being pushed by the NFL itself, well, here's one of the most prominent NFL insiders on a platform that owns the NFL network and NFL has 10% equity stake in saying the same thing.
This game was lost in March. This game was lost when the NFL owners refused to ban the tush push from happening. It wasn't lost yesterday. It was lost in March. And there might be a lot of games that the Eagles play that are lost in March because this play is unstoppable. It not only does the defense not know how to handle it, but even the officials don't even know how to handle it. You're seeing the Eagles linemen jump off sides every play, and nothing's called.
It's a false start.
So the officials have no idea. Defenses have no idea, and the Eagles get to do whatever they want on every single play in the tush push. And again, I know people hate it, but they have mastered it. They have dominated the line of scrimmage.
You see what I'm saying? You see the picture that's being painted by the NFL? I mean, it's just the same insider that is pushing this narrative of it. He then is on 97.5 The Fanatic, which is a local Philly radio show. And he then clearly cannot defend his point because he doesn't really believe it. Like, it's very clear. He's like jumping all back and forth. He's coming up with excuses. He sounds flustered. Why don't you give a listen to what he says on The Fanatic?
You know when that game was lost? The game was lost when Travis Kelce dropped a pass that became an interception that gave the Eagles the ball. The game was lost when Andy Reid made the decision to go for it on 4th and 1 from his own 36 that gave the Eagles a field goal, a gimme field goal in the third quarter. The game was lost when Harrison Butker missed a field goal that would have been a 3-point. So that's when the game was lost.
Okay, so John, so why the sensitivity then?
Because
okay,
you just said it was a fact that the Eagles lost. You said the game was won on Get Up. You said the game was won because of the tush push. That was not fact. And you just said it was fact again. It wasn't won because of the tush push.
It was one of the factors involved in that game.
You didn't say that.
Stop that play. Oh, okay. Well, you know what, John? I'm not going to go into Get Up when I got 20 seconds. Well, they did this and they did that and they did this.
Well, weren't they bigger? Okay, were they bigger factors or were they less factors? Because I think Travis Kelce and that interception was a bigger factor in the Chiefs losing than the tush push. Andy Reid twice going out of character was a bigger decision. Butker missing a field goal was a bigger than the tush push, which accounted for 5 yards in the game.
John, fine. What does that have to do with my opinion on the tush push? Again, people are mistaken. So I'm not giving the Eagles flowers for making other plays? Okay, good. They did make those plays. Again, bravo. Excellent. They won the game. Great job. Okay, but people feel cheated that I didn't salute them for stopping them on 4th and 1 or coming up with a big pick. I'm just talking about the tush push and the ire it's raised across the league and across the country. People all worked up. I've never been one that's been worked up about it or against the play.
We absolutely have backed you on that. Andrew and I backed you on that completely.
That's true, Adam Schefter. You never have. So why are you now? It's almost as if someone told you to push something and to say something. I mean, can we say gaslighting, by the way? You guys know what gaslighting means? Yeah, gaslighting. That's what's happening. I'm so sick of this conversation. Okay, I'm sick of this stupid ass conversation where none of the arguments make sense and all the goalposts get pushed back constantly, and they come up with a new way to like argue about this and scream about this when it's just a play, dude. It's just a QB sneak. Do you really think that taking away the push is going to stop Jalen Hurts and that O-line from converting? Is that what you really think? When most of the time they're already converted before the push even happens? What's the stop? If you change the rule, what's to stop them from running it the exact same way with the same formation, line up in the neutral zone, fall starting if you take away the push. That means nothing, right? So I'm going to go over the arguments first, and then we're going to go to all the stuff. The first argument that people have is it's ugly, right? My answer to that is, so, like, and who cares? Like, there's 15 plays a game that are ugly, that are boring, that are stupid, that don't matter, that nobody likes seeing. Are you going to get rid of the kickoff? Are you going to get rid of the punt? Are you going to get rid of all of this stuff just because it's ugly and stupid and everyone goes on their phones when the play starts? Like, dumb. And it's along with that ugly conversation is, oh, nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants to see that play. Nobody wants to see that. Oh, really? Oh, really? Nobody wants to see it. Is that why the Cowboys and the Eagles game on the NBC was the second most watched NFL kickoff game of all time? Is that why? Is that why also here, let me move over for you. Here, this game between the Chiefs and the Eagles was the most watched ever regular season Sunday telecast. 33.8 million viewers. Most watched week 2 NFL telecast on record. Most watched September-October game ever. Most watched telecast of any kind since the Super Bowl. Up 21% over last year's comparable week 2 delivery, right? So you're telling me that everyone across the country, Adam, everyone across the country, everyone in the NFL hates this place so much, and yet it's still like every game the Eagles are in still is breaking records. And I get it, right? The Cowboys are the first game. Cowboys have a ton of fans. They're going to watch. So those games are routinely breaking records. The Chiefs are the dynasty of this era. So there's new fans, old fans. They're all watching because they just love watching greatness, right? Young fans, too, that have probably never seen a time where the Chiefs sucked, right? So they're all Chiefs fans. It's like I get that. But at the same time, don't you think that if people really hated that play, there'd be less viewership? There'd be some viewers that are just tune out. So you're telling me that people hate this play so much that but they'll still watch the games. They'll still tune in for the Eagles games but they hate this play. Everyone across the country. He said the ire across the NFL, across the country. Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is like, dogs and cats living together, man. We're like, it's nonsense. It's nonsense, man. It's music, man. They're selling you a narrative that everyone hates it. When in truth, no one cares. Like truthfully, I'm almost certain that most people that watch the NFL, hardcore watchers and non-hardcore and casuals, do not give a about this play. I understand. Like they don't care. There's probably a handful of people that hate it. There's probably a handful of people that love it, and then there's the people in the middle that don't give a that don't care. It's like, oh, that's a play they run, whatever. And we move on. Like it's so nonsensical. And even if the play is ugly, even if you don't like the play, that's not a reason to get rid of it, because there's so many plays that are ugly that happen on the field every single game. Like, it's dumb. Let's go to the next argument. This one got disproven very quickly, and this is how they tried to get it banned over the summer and over the spring. It causes injuries. It's for player safety. That's what they tried to convince everyone that they cared about, which was player safety. I'm supposed to believe that the NFL cares so much about player safety. A league that is hidden information for players and young players to learn that they can get severely injured and get a illness called CTE. You hid that information. So we're supposed to believe that you care about player safety now. You changed the kickoff rules for player safety. Then when everybody complained about how boring it was, you changed them back, or you changed it in a way where it's going to create more returns, which in turn is going to create more injuries. But you care about player safety. It was the most disgusting bull argument around it from the beginning. And it's so quaint, especially after all the information we found out about the NFLPA this year, that argument was coming from the NFLPA. An argument pushed by Troy Vincent, who's the president of the NFLPA, trying to ban a play. Trying to get rid of it because it causes injuries. When you look at the information, when you look at the history, I mean, we've had this play for almost 4 years now. We've had this play for 4 years. All right. The information is there, and the information shows that you don't get injured on it any more than any other play. You don't get injured on it more than a QB sneak. It's probably one of the more safer plays if you look at the history of injuries on it. The few times people have gotten injured on it are teams that have done something extra. Like last year in the Super Bowl when Chris Jones lined up sideways, which was a terrible idea anyway. I don't know why anybody told him to do that. That hurt his neck. That's a bad idea to do regardless of what you're doing. Then you had the Giants who had 2 offensive linemen get hurt on it. But if you watched them run that play, they did not know how to run the play. They clearly didn't know how to run the play. The Giants had the guys literally lined up like it was a regular play. They weren't low, they were high. And it was just, they clearly didn't know how to run the play, and they got hurt, and they hurt their backs, which is insane. That argument is dumb. There's no injuries there barely any injuries that have happened on it, no more than any other play. Honestly, the kickoff that you just installed is going to cause way more injuries than this play ever will, right? Then you want to talk about the next argument is, well, the defense can't do it, right? The defense can't push a player. That's a lie. There is no rule in the book that says a defensive player cannot push another player there. They can't leverage. You can't leverage over somebody, which leverage is pushing someone down and climbing over them. But you can push another player in. So if you wanted to do that, you thoroughly can. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's going to cause that's how you're going to cause injuries. But that you are firmly able to do it if you want to. Right? So that's also a lie. And now we have the one that they're presenting this year, which is just even more nonsensical. The officiating. Officials can't officiate it. They can't run it. It's like, and then they use the false start for that in the game, which granted, I'll give you, the Eagles false started, like they ran that play 5 times that day. They false started like 4 out of 5 times. Like I'm not gonna lie for my team. But what the hell does that got to do with the push? Like, what does the false start got to do with the push? It makes no sense. Also, if they false start, just throw the flag. What's the big deal? They false started, throw the flag, make them go back 5. Like, what? Why are we coming these straw man arguments? It's nonsense. It's just nonsense. It's like you are the official. How hard is it to see a false start? How hard is it to see that the O-line is lined up in the neutral zone? How hard is it to see that the defensive line is lined up, their hands right next to the ball? How hard is it to see that and throw a flag? You guys have allowed this play to get out of control because you never reffed it. And then you can't get mad that the Eagles are taking advantage of. That's what happens in the league. There are old linemen on every single team that are holding every single play, but they know you're not going to call it every single play. So they do it anyway. Is that not ruining the game? It's just all these arguments are so stupid. They're so dumb. They're arguments that they either range from sour grapes or just pure like lying. Like it's getting to a point where you're just like, oh, they're deliberately trying to make this play look like a mess. Oh, and also the officials, like the Eagles ran it on that 3rd and goal. You see the replay. You can clearly see Jalen's hand over the line and breaking the plane with the ball. No, he didn't get it. He's got to run it again. You got to run 4th and goal. They run it again and they finally get it, right? Then they did the same thing when the Eagles ran it again later in the game on a 3rd and 1 where they were just trying to get the first down. They ran it. They said, oh, well, it's not a first down. It's clearly a first down. So the officials are deliberately trying to make this play look bad by not officiating it. That's essentially what's happening. And they're essentially trying to now gaslight us as Eagles fans and as fans of the game into believing that it's an unofficiatable, it's not a word, but a play that cannot be officiated because it's just too much of a mess. When the whole reason why it's not being officiated is because you, from the beginning, have never thrown flags. You never threw flags for when the Eagles were lined up in neutral zone. You never thrown flags when the defensive are always lined up in neutral zone. You haven't thrown flags for them trying to mess with the cadence. You haven't thrown flags for the Eagles false starting. Everybody is wrong here. But none of that has to do with the teams. It is the team's job to win by any means necessary. The other team is trying to win by any means necessary as well. If you're going to let them do stuff that's against the rules, they're going to get away with it. If you're going to let us do stuff that's against the rules, we're going to get away with it. It is your job. It is incumbent upon the official to officiate the game. What the hell does a false start have to do with the push? If you get rid of the push, how is that going to stop false starts? How is that going to stop the defense from lining up in a neutral zone? How is that going to stop the Eagles from lining up in a neutral zone? It's nonsense. Like it's just nonsense. Just officiate the damn play. The Eagles line up in a neutral zone, flag. The other team lines up in a neutral zone, flag. The other team's running the cadence, flag. False start, flag. Why are we creating this narrative that it's hard? This play is a mess. No, shut the hell up. No, it's not. You sound stupid. How is this play a mess? Like, why are we still talking about this? Like, why are we, it's been 4 years. Oh my God. It's like, and the NFL is trying to gaslight Eagles fans into a sense. Like, I'm going to go back to this Adam Schefter on the Fanatic. He has the nerve to ask, why the sensitivity? Why the sense? You just said on national television that that the game was won in March. Clearly implying that they only won the game because of the tush push. That if the tush push was banned, the Eagles would not have won this game. Even though Harrison Butker missed a field goal, Andy Reid didn't take a field goal and went for it on 4th down at one point early in the game. And Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce came together to throw an interception when they were in the red zone. Red zone interceptions are killers. This is what we're doing now. That's what we're doing. We're pretending now that all of that didn't happen in the game. You know they won. The game ended 20-17. That's 3 points. Harrison Butker hits one kick. Game's tied. Andy Reid takes that chance and kicks the field goal, and they make that kick. Guess what? Game ends 23-20. The Chiefs win. And we're talking about how bad the Eagles' offense has been over the last 2 games. That's what we're talking about instead of talking about a tush push. It's like this is what I'm talking about. It's like you're creating this argument that doesn't exist. And then Adam Schefter is like now trying to gaslight Eagles fans. Why the sensitivity? You clearly said that. And you also clearly are being told to say this by the NFL. Like, it's very obvious. This is also another thing, right? The tush push is bad for the NFL, right? Is having 10% stake in the ESPN when the ESPN has a sports book, is that not bad for the NFL? Is having 10% equity stake in ESPN when ESPN has a betting, gambling sports book, is that not bad for the NFL? Because that's what you have. That is what you're doing. Does that not look bad in an era where a lot of people genuinely believe that the NFL is rigged and that it's scripted? Which I don't believe that, but I'm saying, like, does that look good to you? Like, you know what I'm saying? But oh no, the tush push, that's got to go. That's the problem. That's the issue. Not the fact that we don't know how to hand out. Not the fact that we don't know how to hand out punishments for men beating up women or players, women or essaying. Like, we don't know how to hand out punishments with that. But that's what. But tush push is going to destroy the league, right? That's what's going to ruin football. That's what makes the league look bad. It's nonsense, man. It's nonsense. It's something. I think the league also understands that they're partially a soap opera, so that they're creating narratives, stories. They pass it. Oh, they defeated the horrible team that was ruining football, and or they don't pass it. Whoa, that horrible team, that great team defeated the NFL. It's the same thing they did with the Patriots, essentially, right? Like. They were openly trying to punish the Patriots for cheating, which they did. They were openly trying to punish them for cheating, while also then celebrating them every time they won a Super Bowl. It's like, it's nonsense. All right. Yeah, it's just nonsense. And to be honest with you, like, I think Jordan Mailata kind of speaks for us all when he said this here about Adam Schefter.
When you look at our defense and our special teams, and they're dominating their side of the ball, and offense is doing their part, not dominating, but we're doing our part. We're doing just enough, just to call a spade a spade. I think that's bullcrap. You can't say that we're winning games from that. But other than that, I'm going to be an advocate for all the teams out there. You guys can definitely run this play too. I promise you guys can as well. It's not just us. It's not just the Philly Eagles. It's not just a Philly Eagle thing. You guys can definitely run it too. You guys have the personnel.
So you have to be mindful in the sense now that it's getting even more national attention. You see a guy like Adam Schefter, pointing out. Does it change?
I couldn't give a what Adam Schefter said, to be honest. Yeah. And I ain't the one calling the plays on my team, so I'm just sorry. Pardon my language. Pardon my French. I'm not calling the plays, and I don't care what Adam Schefter says. Sorry, man.
There you go. It says it all. Honestly, truly says it all. We don't care what Adam Schefter says, and you should go even further and say we don't care what the NFL says, because as long as this play is legal, we're gonna keep running it, and we're gonna keep succeeding at it. And even when it's not legal, we can't push anymore. We're still gonna succeed at QB sneaks. You think they're not gonna run QB sneaks? They're still gonna run QB sneaks. It's a waste of time. So anyway, that's the last time I want to talk about this tush push. I'm not bringing this up again. I cannot stand this freaking topic. I think it's tired. I think it needs to die. We need to stop talking about this, regardless of whether the play is here or not. Please, shut up. Like, it's annoying. It's not. We're not having football conversations around anymore. We're just yelling at each other and arguing. But anyway. Let's move on to a topic that's actually fun and very football focused and super cool, and something that needs to be talked about and celebrated, and that is Jay Jettas, man. Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. He just got his 500th career reception on Sunday, in which he tied Larry Fitzgerald for the youngest person to ever achieve that milestone. Larry Fitzgerald, they were both 26 years and 90 days old when they caught that, right? He's one of the best receivers in the league, man. I mean, that's a huge achievement. That's an awesome achievement. And it's something that needs to be celebrated and respected. And we need to recognize how good of a player Justin Jefferson is and appreciate it, because we really got somebody who is just next level. Next level. I mean, up there with Larry, to be next to Larry Fitzgerald is just, in any capacity, is top tier for any wide receiver. And it's great that he's getting this recognition. I'm glad he received that. Congratulations, Justin Jefferson. That's awesome. Now we're gonna get to the part that we talked about earlier. My power rankings. Yeah, what's up? All right. So this is not my first time doing power rankings. I did power rankings last week, right? But I put them in my post. I didn't make a video about it. I just put it in my post and made it short. So this is me introducing to people who watch my videos how I do my power rankings. I do them tiers, but I also put a number aspect to it as well. So we're gonna start off. This is gonna be the first ever online Sideline Sickos Sports Podcast power rankings. And we're gonna start with the first tier, lowest tier. And that's the who we drafted teams. You ever watched your team and you're in the middle of the season and your team just sucks, and you just go on your phone and you start searching up drafts and you're like, who we drafted? That's what these teams are. Who we drafted. You got through 2 games and you're like, all right, who we drafted? These teams suck, right? So these teams are not very good. They're not going anywhere this year, at least. They might be some of them that are a little frisky. They're a little fun to talk about, but none of them are actually going to make any sort of movement. And those 5 teams, I have 5 teams here. Last one at 32 is the Saints. Higher, one up on them is the Giants at 31. Cleveland Browns at 30. They stayed at 30. Dolphins at 29. And the Titans at 28. Now, the Saints dropped 1. They were at 31. Now they're at 32. The Giants went up 1. I brought the Giants up 1. Let me just explain my reasoning. Because Russell Wilson at least put up a good game. You're going to get a crazy game like that from Russell Wilson every once in a while. And you got to equate for that when you're talking about power ranking them and doing all that stuff. So I've raised them up 1. They're not the worst team. Had to give that to the Saints. The Saints have probably the worst roster in the NFL. It's not even really close, to be honest. Yeah, they're really bad. They're really bad. I got the Browns here. They're at 30. They stayed at 30 from last week. That's just where they're going to stay for now. The Browns are really bad. They have a great defense, but they're not very good. It's just they're going to be in these close games that they just suck. All right. The Dolphins, they dropped 1. They were at 28 last week, but now they're at 29 because that crash that team is burning. That team is burning. 4-alarm fire, 5-alarm fire, whatever you call it. That DEFCON 1, it's bad. It's bad. And they're just creeping. They're like at DEFCON 3 right now. They're just creeping up. DEFCON 2 maybe. After tonight, they might be boiling. They might be exploding. Nuclear holocaust. That bad. You know what I mean? So, and then I brought the Titans. The Titans were at 29 last week, and I brought them up 1. I think Cam Ward makes them very interesting. Very fun to watch. I think he's slowly kind of figuring out who he is as a quarterback. He's very poised. He's super comfortable. And it's just fun to watch him. They're still not a good team. And I do think this coach will be fired before the end of the season or by the end of the season. But Cam Ward at least makes them interesting and makes them at least a threat to push teams. Or at least at some point push teams. I think right now they're still figuring things out. Cam Ward and Elegeo Manor, 2 of my favorite players in this draft to watch. They really showed out this past game and had a big play. And I think eventually they're going to be better than where their spot is over the course of the season. But I don't think they will be very good overall. So now on to my next tier, and that is the middle of the pack teams. Middle of the pack teams. these are the teams that are just, they're middle of the pack, right? They're the teams that could be, 5-6 wins, or they could be, mess around and get like 8-9 wins. But either way, it's pretty clear they're not going to really compete for a championship or to be like a good team in the playoffs. They could make the playoffs, they could sneak into the playoffs, but they're not going to be a team to really worry about as far as winning a championship. So my first team there is 20 at 27. I got the Panthers. They dropped 2 down. Their team is they can't catch anything. Bryce Young is not playing the best right now, but unlike last year, I don't think a lot of it is his fault. I think a lot of it is more the O-line, and his wide receivers keep dropping passes. I mean, the only person he's got right now is Tetaroa, is Ted McMillan, and I mean, they had Jalen Coker, but Jalen Coker's still hurt. They traded Adam Thielen. There's not really much there in that offense, and their defense is still figuring itself out. It's not great. The Jets come in at 26. They dropped down 4 spots because, I mean, I was excited about them when they had that game against the Steelers, but they just went back to same old Jets last week against the Bills, which, granted, it is the Bills. They're one of the best teams in the league, so it's not like the worst thing that they went down to normal. Bears at 25. They're down 1. I still believe in Caleb. They got some issues with some of their weapons. And the defense is solid, but it still needs help. But that O-line is bad. That O-line is really, really bad. And Caleb is not necessarily lighting it up, but he's also not necessarily I don't think he's the main reason for why this team is sucking right now. I think he's not playing the best he could play, and I think a lot of people are trying to pile on right now. The people that are Caleb Williams haters are piling on, and truthers don't know what to say right now. But I think he's been playing well. I think he still needs to learn the position. And I think that's what Ben Johnson should be doing for him right now. But we'll see how that progresses. But right now, 25 is fine. 24, the Patriots were raised up 3 spots, right? They raised up 3 spots from 27 because I like Drake May a lot. I thought they scored a lot of points. I thought they looked really good offensively. Their defense is still always going to be solid, but I think they're fun to watch. I still don't think they're very good, but they can mess around and win 7, 8, 9 games. I could see that happening. I'm not sure it will, but I can see it happen. Jaguars are down 3. I mean, it's so weird. Hard to see. But Jaguars are down 3, which is at 23. I just don't trust Trevor Lawrence, man. I'm sorry. Like, I know everyone wants to blame BTJ for not catching those passes, but if you really look at those passes, there's a few that he didn't give effort on, but most of them were like out of his range. I wouldn't call all of them hospital balls. I think that term is getting overused right now, but a lot of them were just not in space. Like that one where he comes up and he's running like this drag, or I think it's like I forget what he's running there. It's like a drag or a slant, and he like sits down on it, and Trevor throws, but it's like way over here, and he has to reach for it. Mind you, there's 2 guys right here. If he reaches for that and catches it, he's taking a hit, right? I don't think that's necessarily a hospital ball, but it's close. Like, it's close. The one in the end zone where he's driving and he's got a cross going across, right? And he's got this guy on him in man, and Trevor Lawrence, instead of just whipping it in there, he not lobs it, but puts touch on it and puts it way too high, and he has to come up. And if he comes up and grabs that, he's taking a hit straight to the ribs. So it's like, that one was a hospital ball to me. It's just, Trevor is not accurate. He's not putting the ball where it needs to be right now. That's just simply what he's not doing. And I know we want to believe in him and all that other stuff, and I'm not saying I don't believe him anymore. I'm just saying he hasn't shown much. And I just don't trust him right now. So they're at 23. Bengals at 22. They're down 7 spots because of the Joe Burrow hurt. I had them in a different tier last week, but they are they're not going to be very good. Jake Browning, I think, had a big game off that. Let's see if that continues. I highly doubt it, but we'll see. Steelers down 5 spots, 21. Like I said, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's got it anymore. I have other problems with his personality, who he is, but again, I don't think he's at that point anymore. So I brought them down 5 spaces. They were also in the other tier, the higher tier. You got the Seahawks here. They're up 3 spaces. I like their defense, and I think their offense can score points, right? So if their offense can score points and their defense can play at least against teams that are bad, they're going to compete at the very least for 8 wins, 9 wins. They're going to be in that conversation with the NFC West. But I think they're solid. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're going to be like a championship team. Raiders down 2 spots because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not a big Geno Smith guy. I understand everyone kind of loves him. I think he's still Geno Smith. No offense. Like he's a solid quarterback. He's a great bridge quarterback. He's not some guy that I'm like, oh, he's gonna take you to the playoffs. Without they don't really have weapons. And then you got Ashton Genty over here like sucking at pass pro. Isn't it also interesting how like one of the biggest conversations with this draft was that like most of these running backs are not good at pass pro except for like Genty and Travion Henderson. And both of them have been kind of bad at pass pro to start the season. Genty looked like he just wasn't giving effort, whereas Travion Henderson just, got mauled a couple times. But again, like we'll see how that progresses. But that's why I dropped the Raiders twice or 2 spots because they just don't have the bodies to me. They don't have the guys. Cardinals 18. They go up 1. They go up 1 from 19. They were pretty solid. I still think Kyler Murray's a solid player. Their defense has got some juice to it. It's got some dogs on there, and I respect that. Will Johnson, by the way, he was like my number 1 corner. I think I had him at number 1, number 2. But yeah, he's been really, really good. He's been really, really good. And it's surprising to me that he dropped for that injury because it's just like, I didn't see it. I didn't see the problem. He was really good. Cardinals. Falcons went up 4 spots to 17. I love the Falcons defense. The Falcons have a real pass rush. They have a real pass rush, and they have a real defense right now, which is kind of crazy. Their offense is still kind of figuring itself out. We're still trying to figure out what Michael Penix really is. But Bijan is a dog. Bijan is Bijan one of them. Bijan, I think he's going to win I think he might win Offensive Player of the Year this year. He's very, very good. Yeah, he might be doing Saquon numbers this year. Maybe not Saquon numbers, but something close, something crazy like that. But I love their defense. So I brought them up 4 spaces just to be like, hey, these guys are good. Now we're on to the next section, which is the pretender section. These are the guys that look like that they're killing it. They look like they have enough to really compete for a championship. But I just don't see them as a legitimate threat to win anything right now. But they're teams that are hard to beat. They're teams that are not gonna just lay down and get destroyed. And I know. A lot of people are gonna be like, oh well, the Falcons killed the Vikings last week. A lot of that was J.J. McCarthy. They don't have J.J. McCarthy right now. I'm gonna give Kevin O'Connell the benefit of the doubt that he can get something out of Carson Wentz, and it won't look like what it looked like with J.J. right now because J.J. is clearly struggling. And the Falcons defense is great, but I still would put my money on the Vikings offense being better than the Falcons offense. And also I think their defense together with their offense playing better is an overall better package than what the Falcons have right now. But I could be proven wrong. We'll see. But that's just my reasoning behind it. I know people will give me crap for that, but that's my reasoning behind it. So at 16, the Colts are up 10 spots. I had them pretty low. I had them at 26. But they're playing really well right now. And Shane Steichen's a really good coach. He's a good offensive coordinator. He's a great schemer. He's got Daniel Jones playing crazy right now. He's playing really, really well. Jonathan Taylor is incredible. And their defense has been solid for a while. The defense has been good for a while. So let's see if that continues. It is giving Saints last year, because their success rate on drives is like kind of insane. It's not something that you usually see on teams, and that really is sustainable. Yeah, so like their success rate on drives, I think they're running at like an 82% success rate on drives. So it's, in other words, 82% of the time, 82% of their drives ends in points, ends in 3 points, ends in 7 points or 6 points. That's insane. Like, that's like a crazy conversion rate. For reference, the second team under them, I forget which team it was, but they were like at like 66.7%. That's like almost 20% less. That's 16% more than the next team. I do think they're going to come down to earth at some point. How much so, I don't know. But they're definitely not that good. Like, to the point where they're scoring points on 80% of their drives. I think they're good, but I don't think they're that good. But we'll see. Vikings, like I talked to you about them, they're down 3 because of how bad J.J. McCarthy played. But Carson Wentz could be solid, but we don't really know. Carson Wentz is a big question mark, so I can't really fault them for Carson Wentz. I can't put them up for Carson Wentz. I can't really put them down for Carson Wentz. But at least right now, what they're getting out of the QB play right now, it's not great. Next is the Broncos at 14. They stay at 14. It's hard to pin them down because I feel like roster-wise, they're really good. And they really should be in the like dark horse conversation. But they're just not getting the play that they got from Bo Nix last year. They're also not. I feel like they're struggling to score points more than they should, and they're also struggling to stop teams. It might be just like early season trying to figure it out. You know, not this first 4 games of the season is usually like a preseason for most teams now. So like that's kind of where they're at. You know. Then we got the Texans here at 13. They're down 2 spots. CJ Stroud's looking rough, man. I wouldn't say it's like in a Trevor Lawrence conversation for me, but it's CJ Stroud's looking rough. Like, it's going to be interesting to watch them this weekend. Texans Jaguars this weekend, to see which quarterback seems to figure it out and stop sucking, because that's really what it is. What the problem is right now is that both these quarterbacks are just kind of not really playing well. And to be fair, CJ Stroud has more of an excuse because his O-line sucks. But if you watch the tape on that game against the Buccaneers, he was just flat out missing guys. He wasn't playing well, like, at all. And it's not much you can really say about it other than that. Cowboys are at 12. They're up 6 spots. I was really low on the Cowboys coming into the season. But Dak Prescott is playing really, really well right now. And their defense isn't good, right? Their defense is not good. But it's not really coached that well either. But the players are playing together, which is something that they didn't really have last year. There's a real, it feels like a team right now. Like, they feel connected. And I think that that's important for winning games. And I think that's important for playing with each other. And we're going to see if that continues with the Cowboys. I do think they are in for like a rude awakening at some point, but I do think that they are playing really well right now. You got to put them at least in pretenders category because they have everything they can to really compete, but I don't think they will, So next section is the long shots and dark horses. Long shots / dark horses. So I'm going to start with, we're going to start here with the 49ers. They're at 11. They're up 3 positions. They were at 14 last week, but now they're at 11. So the Niners, I have them here, right? And I know people are like, well, Brock Purdy's hurt. Like, what can you say? The Brock Purdy's hurt, but Mac Jones went out there and still put up 3 touchdowns and like 300 yards, dude. Kyle Shanahan can win with me playing quarterback, man. Like honestly, like he is. Like, he is that good of a coach, and they have enough weapons-wise to really make things happen. I still think their defense is good. I think their defense is solid this year. I think they got Robert Saleh back, and I think that's really pushing them and really helping them. So I got them at 11. They went up 3. We'll see if they can raise more or they drop more. We'll see. Washington was up 2 spots. I dropped them down 2 spots to 10 because that Jaden Daniels injury is scaring me, man. It really is. The injury to Austin Eckler is also scaring me. It just feels like a team full of old guys. I've talked about it earlier. I'm not gonna go too much into it again. But yeah, they just seem. It just doesn't seem like they're there yet. But they still have everything they need to win. They have everything they need to win. But if they can stay healthy, it can be a serious contender. But if they're dealing with these injuries to their older players, if Jaden Daniels' injury is serious, they're going to drop even further. But again, and then next I have 9. I have the Chiefs. They dropped 5 spaces. They were in the actual Super Bowl contender spot, but I dropped them from 4 to 9. That offense is really bad. That offense is struggling. It's literally like Patrick Mahomes doing everything. Travis Kelce no longer is that guy anymore. Like, he can't be that guy for them, that engine where him and Pat can just play backyard football and end up beating teams by, like, a touchdown. I just don't think that's possible for them anymore. They need more weapons. They need more weapons like they need water. And their weapons are hurt. Jalen Royals is still hurt. Xavier Worthy's still hurt. And we still don't even know. And Rashee Rice is also out. We still don't even know if any of those guys can really be the game changer that they really need them to be for them to be a great offense again. We think they can be that. They project out to be that, but we still don't know. Xavier Worthy, if Xavier Worthy comes back and he's Deshaun Jackson, that's solid. That's solid. That's decent. I don't know if it's elevating your offense to a grand level, though. Rashee Rice is a good, in space, can catch it. He has wiggle, and he can make guys miss, and he gets a high yak player, right? But is he really that game changer like that? Jalen Royals, we don't know what Jalen Royals is yet. I know I liked him coming out of college, but we don't know what he is in the NFL because he hasn't played a game. So, their offense is just really bad. Their defense is still solid, but it looks like their defense has a lot of cracks in it. Chris Jones also looks like he's losing a lot of, what made him great before. I mean, could you imagine Chris Jones having an outburst like that when they were winning Super Bowls? I can't. Like, that was crazy, in my opinion. That was something that I was like, I've never seen that before from Chris Jones. That feels like an older player recognizing they're getting older and that their time is passing. But it is what it is. Rams, they're down 2 spots. Honestly, the only reason why they're down 2 spots is because I had to bring up the Lions and I had to bring up the Buccaneers. Because I had the Lions and Buccaneers pretty low because I didn't really believe in the Lions post Ben Johnson. And also, Buccaneers is like, you never know with the Buccaneers, right? But the Rams don't really deserve to drop to 8 because they're still very good. And I think they're a legitimate contender. I think their offense is legit, and I think their defense is legit. But I also think their O-line's not great. So that could be a point of contention. We're going to see. If they come out and beat the Eagles handily this weekend, I'm going to raise them up. They're going to be in Super Bowl contention after that. But if they struggle and they lose, I have to kind of leave them where they're at or drop them. It's just they haven't shown me enough against great teams for me to be like, oh, yeah, let's raise them. They played the Texans and the Titans. Like, let's come on. The Titans suck. Titans are really bad. And the Texans are not really bad, but their offense is not very good right now. The Buccaneers they raised 3 spots because they some dogs. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that win against the Texans, that was a hard-fought, hard-nosed. Baker is a dog. I love Baker. I'm not going to lie to you. I love Baker. I love me some Baker. The way he, got hit, hurt his leg, pop, and then when was being talked, it was like, oh, who are you talking to? Like his whole demeanor changed. He was like, my ankle don't hurt now. Like, that was I love that. That was awesome. That was he's so awesome to watch. They play together. They have great weapons. Their defense is really good. I just really like the Bengals. The Buccaneers. They're fun to watch. The Lions, I brought them up 3 spaces as well because they showed, we can still bust teams' butts. We can still kill them by 50, right? So, like, that's an important thing to know, that the Lions can still do that without, can still put 50 burgers on guys without Ben Johnson. So, they're back, at least for now. We'll see if that can continue without Ben Johnson, because they're going to have harder games. I mean, they're playing the Ravens this week. You're going to have to put up 40. You're going to have to put up 50 in that game, So we'll see if that continues. Out on to the next tier, the Super Bowl contenders. And this one's pretty obvious. Most people probably have the same 5 teams. But I have the Chargers here at 5. And I've raised them up 3 because I really believe in the Chargers. I like them a lot this year, especially with the Chiefs looking the way they're looking right now. They're vulnerable. This is the time to get them. The Chargers look like Justin Herbert looks really in control of this offense. I've never seen him this in control of an offense before, and I think he's playing really, really well. I still am concerned about their run game. I still think they need to get a better run game if they're gonna really, really win the Super Bowl. But I think they can figure that out. I believe in Amarian Hampton. I like Najee Harris. And their O-line's been playing well without Rashawn Slater, which is a huge deal. And that defense. Jesse Minter, man. Jesse Minter has been in his bag. The stuff he was doing with Derwin James. Oh, my God. We're using Derwin James on the pick for a stunt. It's crazy. That's crazy stuff. He's in his bag. Also, by the way, Jesse Minter, Chargers fans, you better enjoy him while you have him, because he is going to be a head coach probably next year. The Ravens are at 4. They drop 1 simply because, and again, they drop 1 and the Bills drop 1 simply because I had to raise up the Packers. There really is no reason to drop them as far as their skill level. It's the Packers. The Packers have just been really good, so I had to raise them up. But the Ravens are still really good. They got Lamar. They're going to compete. They're probably going to be in this tier the whole year. Same thing with the Bills. They're really good. They're going to keep competing. They're going to be very good. These are all 5 of these teams I can legitimately see winning a championship this year. The Packers, the Packers are scary, folks. They're a scary team to watch, especially for me and my Eagles over here sitting at 1. They may not be at 1 for long, especially after this week. But the Packers, Packers are really, really good. That defense looks really good. They seem like they have the right head on their shoulders. That offense, Jordan Love looks like he's taking a step forward. If he's going to play like that all year, he's going to be an MVP candidate. Right now, him and Justin Herbert are probably, and Josh Allen and Lamar are probably playing the best ball that they can play this year, right? So I think that's really good for them, and they're really good. So I put them at 2. I had to raise them, man. The way they just, like, the Commanders look like they didn't even belong in the same league, and I think the Commanders are a solid team. I got questions about their age, but they're a solid team. They shouldn't be in a game, looking like they don't belong, unless the team really is that good. So the only thing stopping me from putting them at 1 was the fact that the Eagles still are undefeated. So I had to keep the Eagles at 1 because they're still undefeated. And I'm one of these people when it comes to power rankings. It's like, until the champs lose, they're 1, okay? Till the team that won the championship loses, they're 1, all right? So now if they go out and lose to the Rams, I'm going to have to definitely bring the Packers up and drop the Eagles. But for now, I'm going to keep them at 1. That's where they were last week. I'm going to keep them there. So that's my full power rankings. It's the full list here. Oh, not that one. Right here. This is the full list here. See it all out. I'm going to post this again on my post on my actual channel. And just so if you want to look at it, give me and complain about it, give me grief about it, whatever you want to do. It's going to be up on my post after I post this video. After this video is posted, check it out. And then now we're on to my weekly picks. Week 3 picks. All right. So we're going to run through this one pretty quickly. This one shouldn't go too long. But so tonight is the Dolphins-Bills game. Don't really need to talk about that one any further. Bills are going to win that. They're going to win that. It's interesting to me though that the league is now putting this Dolphins Bills game in Buffalo this early in the season. Does it feel like they're trying to give the Dolphins a chance? Because the Dolphins have always struggled in Buffalo late in the season. They always usually put that late in the season, that in Buffalo game, Dolphins versus Buffalo game in Buffalo late in the season. So they put it early this time, which is interesting to me. But anyway, the Bills are going to win that. Bengals versus Vikings. I got the Vikings winning that. I believe in Kevin O'Connell. I think he's going to make Carson Wentz look good. Carson Wentz is still in there. I still remember when Carson Wentz was good. Brings a tear to the eye. And I just think the Bengals defense sucks. I think they're going to get scored a lot on, and Justin Jefferson's going to go crazy. And I got the Vikings in that game. Texans versus Jaguars. Again, like I was talking about, C.J. Stroud versus Trevor Lawrence. Both quarterbacks are kind of struggling. It's be interesting to see who gets it. I think the Texans need this win a little more, so I think they're going to come out with a good game plan on defense, and I think the Texans win this game here. Colts versus Titans. I think Colts are going to win that. I think the Titans are really bad. Colts are going to win that game. Patriots versus Steelers. I think the Patriots are going to win that. I think Drake May is starting to figure something out. Green Bay versus Browns. Green Bay is going to win. That's not even a question. Rams versus Eagles. This is going to be an interesting game, right? Because the Rams supposedly gave the Eagles the hardest game, supposedly. But I think the Rams are a good team this year. I think they're very, very good. I think Stafford's playing really good ball. Puka looks like he's about to make his claim for the best wide receiver in the NFL. And their defense, that young defense, Byron Young is playing incredibly right now. Jared Verse is still good. I think Braden Fisk might be out. Right now he's on the injury report with an oblique, and he didn't participate today. So, 2 days out. He didn't participate yesterday and today, so we'll see. But I still think they're a good team. So this is going to be a close game, I feel like. But ultimately, the Eagles just don't lose games right now. They don't lose games. I'm sorry. They don't lose games. They just don't lose games. I'm sorry. So I just got to go with the Eagles right now. That's not just me being a homer. They don't lose games, man. Buccaneers versus Jets. Buccaneers are going to win that. Baker's going to kill them. This is my risky pick. This is my, I can see this happening. Especially if Jaden Daniels doesn't play. I can see the Raiders beating the Commanders here. And also, they're coming off that loss was terrible. Geno Smith is usually really good in 1 o'clock games. He's not great in prime time, but he's good in 1 o'clock games. I think they're going to win that game there, personally. Falcons versus Panthers. I think the Falcons are going to win. Panthers are just not. They're not there right now. Offensively, defensively, they're just not there right now. Cardinals versus Broncos. Now, this is going to be a fun game. This is going to be a real fun game. I think this is going to be closer than people might think, but I think the Chargers are going to pull this out. I think they're going to pull this out. That's it. Broncos versus Cardinals. Broncos versus Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to pull this game out right here. I think Justin Herbert's going to play really, really well. And I think the Broncos are going to push them, though. I think it's going to be a good defensive battle. Might be similar to the Raiders game where it's like 20-8 or something, right? I think it's going to be a good game. Saints versus Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are going to win that pretty easily. Cowboys versus Bears. I think the Bears are going to put up points in the Cowboys. I think they're going to put up points in the Cowboys. Again, their defense isn't good. They're just playing well together. I think the Bears are going to put up points, but I think the Cowboys win it ultimately. And then 49ers versus Cardinals. I got the Niners in that game. I just believe in the Niners. I believe in the Niners as a team, at least a regular season team. Chiefs versus Giants. Chiefs are going to win that. They're also coming off that loss. They got to get a win. They're 0-2. You got the Giants in New York. You got to win that game. There's no way the Chiefs will lose that game, right? There's no way. There's no way, right? So, and then Lions at Ravens. I chose Ravens in this game because I love Lamar. I just believe in Lamar. I just think Lamar is better. than everything else. And I think the Ravens are just a better team than the Lions right now. And I still don't believe in the Lions without Ben Johnson. They've shown, obviously, hey, we can put up 50 without Ben Johnson. That's cool. But you did that against the Bears, all right? So I don't know if you can do that against the Ravens. Let's see. We will see. But I think the Ravens will ultimately pull that game out and win it all. Or win that game. Those are my picks for today. Or for the week. But yeah, that was my final segment. If you made it to the end of the pod, I would like to thank you for your time and the view. Even if you didn't make it to the end of the pod, and you might not see this, but thank you for even giving it 5 seconds or 2 minutes. This has been a labor of love and a pursuit that I have had on my mind for quite some time. So thank you for any support you can give. If you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the algorithm see my content. It helps me grow. And stay tuned with Sideline Sickos Sports Podcast by turning on notifications. See you later on tonight with my instant reactions to Dolphins Bills on Thursday Night Football. I'm going to be reacting to it. I'm going to do like maybe 10 minutes talking about it. Until next time. Thanks.